Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I have a process video to share with you. Now this video may be a little bit long because there are a lot of steps to completing this card, so we're just going to jump right into it and see if we can put it together. I'm using several different items. I'm just going to show a few of them at the beginning. The stamp set that I'm using is this Finding the Words Occasions from Close to My Heart, and we will be using that one. Set that aside. I'm using both the Artfully scent and the Art Philosophy cartridge. Artfully scent is the newest Close to My Heart Cricut cartridge, and it's almost a year old, and then Art Philosophy is the oldest one and my favorite of all time. So we're going to grab that. The paper pack that I'm using today is the Seaside paper pack from Close to My Heart. I also am using the Black Exclusives ink, and I have from 3 Girl Jam, I have some Aqua Splash ribbon, and then I'll be using my ATG gun and then some Tombow mono adhesive. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to show you is the Art Philosophy book. So I am just using this little frame and this layer out of the Art Philosophy book, and I cut that at 2.5, and I was using papers that came out of the Seaside paper pack, and that gave me these two pieces right here. And so our stamping for the card will actually be on this, and this is the only stamping from the card itself. So I'm going to set that aside, and that is on page 55. And then from Artfully Sent, I am using this card up at the top that says thank you, but I'm doing the pop-up card that's on the side, and this is on page 9. And then the envelope that I'm using is envelope number 12, and it is on page 48. Now this is a 5x7 card, and so I cut them at 5 inches. Now remember, if you're new to the Cricut, or if you aren't, if you've used the Cricut for a long time like I have, be sure that when you're making these that the real dial size is off. I started cutting these, and I'll have to show you what ended up happening. I ended up with a bicycle, and I was using a scrap. That's a very large bicycle, as you can see. And the card that it cut was this size. Now this is really cute, but not really what I was going for. So I'll show you at the end of the video what I did with that, because that did not go to waste, and I had to play with it a little bit to make everything work. But then I realized that somehow in the process of moving my Cricut around, or at some point, real dial size was turned on, and so when I was cutting everything at 5, it was cutting everything literally at the 5-inch mark. Messed it all up, so you don't want to do that. So I'm going to pull out my scoreboard here, and I'm going to pull out my scoring tool, and we are going to start with the card itself. Now this is one of the pieces from the paper packet, and I really like this side. This side wasn't my favorite. You will not see hardly any of that part. Now this, when it does cut, it's kind of hard to see on pattern paper, but I can feel that there are little tick marks in here. I'm really not going to pay much attention to those tick marks. I am going to just score, and actually I'm on the wrong side. I'm just going to actually score this at 5 inches, just like so. And I'll set that aside. Now this is the insert piece that I've chosen. Again, this is at 5 inches. Now, the Artfully Sent book came, or cartridge comes with 2 books. One is just a book to show you how to assemble some of the more difficult cards, and so that is on page 9 for this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to start by scoring at 5 inches just to the cut line. You'll notice that in the middle here there are some slits, because this is a pop-up card. That's where that will slide over. So I'm going to just kind of hold my place on that line, and you could lightly score through that if you wanted, but then I'm going to put more pressure when I come across and make sure that I've just got my score line all the way across. Now I'm going to go to the top of these slits, and I'm going to score across, and this I'm just kind of trying to fill a groove. There's something on my board. Just trying to fill the groove underneath that. There it is, and I'm going to score across there. Then I'm going to go to the bottom, and I'm going to score from line to line across there. So I know that's kind of difficult to see on camera, but you will see how that comes together in just a moment. So to start with, I am just going to fold these in half, just like so. And I'm going to just crease that down using my bone folder. And then on the where I put the other mark, I'm going to very carefully score across there, and I'm just going to rub my bone folder across just like that. And then the same at the bottom. Again, just very carefully going across, because I don't want to crease my whole card, I just want to crease there. And what that does is it makes this nice little pop-up, which will come together, you'll see more as we get the card assembled. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to go to the card base itself. Now, these cards, and you'll notice that my little folder is off just a little bit, and you'll notice that on this one as well. And that's just the way my Score Buddy is set up, my Martha Stewart scoreboard. So what I like to do before I start assembling the card is trimming that off so that they all match. The thing I have to be careful about is making sure that I'm trimming it off the same side on both sides. So when you're folding it, you want to be sure that everything matches. Otherwise, you'll have the bottom part of your card will be longer than the top part of your card. And that will all work out as we put it together. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do, normally what I would do is I would come in and assemble the inside of the card, like so. But before I do that, because I know that I'm going to put a ribbon on the front of the card, I know that I want to do that before I assemble the card, and that's where my Aqua Splash comes in. Now I've matched this up so I'm sure that the right sides are together. I'm going to just fold the card to make sure before I start gluing everything together, and that all is going to line up. I may have to do a little bit of trimming at the end, but that's okay. So this is going to be my top. So I am just going to simply take my ribbon and attach it to the front of my card. Now, you won't have to see any of the ribbon. And I really would have preferred to use the coral ribbon, but I realized that I was all out from 3 Girl Jam, and the coral ribbon is the perfect color for this, but I didn't have enough. So I guess it's time to order from 3 Girl Jam again. So I'm just going to kind of put that down. And what this does is this will give me the versatility. If I want to add a bow later, I can. But if I don't want to do that, I don't have to. And that's, I probably would really actually want that to be down a little bit lower. More on the center of the card rather than the top half. So we'll pull it from the front, and I'm just eyeballing it, just like so, making it fairly taut. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do before I adhere everything down is you'll notice that when you put this down, you can't really read that thank you as well as I would like with the busyness of the patterns. So I really like this coral color, and this is part of the same packet. And you'll also see here that I have been practicing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of eyeball and see how much of that I need. And then I'm just going to cut a strip like so. and I'm going to adhere it to the bottom of the card so that when I put my card completely together, then I will have this nice bright pop of color at the bottom of my card that you will be able to read the thank you a little bit easier. So I've got that kind of down here. So now we are ready to assemble the card together. We've that looks kind of funny, but it will all come together. You'll see in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this out flat, and then I am going to start laying down adhesive. And everywhere where there's kind of a hole or writing, I want to be sure that I get adhesive around that. And then I also want to get adhesive around each crease because I want those creases to stick to the card. So as you see, I'm going up the sides of each of those creases and above and below it. And then on this side of the card, which is the top of the card, we'll just put down regular adhesive. Okay, so we've used up quite a bit of adhesive there. And now I'm going to fold this. And this is a little bit of the tricky. Now, I'll tell you, in some of the other cards that I've done, I've just adhered one side at a time, and that's probably how I should have done this one. But I wasn't thinking. So we're going to kind of line up those creases like so. And it looks like the top part is going down first, so that's the one we're going to make sure. Now, I'm being very careful to try not to put a lot of pressure on that until I'm sure that everything is pretty lined up. And then I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Again, making sure everything is pretty lined up. It looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold the card shut and just press everything down. And yes, that's bulky inside, but you'll see that that's going to work just like that. Okay, so now when I pop it up, you see, it's kind of hard to see on the camera, that I've got this little shelf on the inside, and that's where our pop-up element's going to be. So when the recipient opens the card, that'll pop up and the little pop-up element will come up. And then there's that little punch of color right down in the corner, which coordinates with the front of the card. So let's go ahead and put in our pop-up elements. We have the little bicycle and the flowers. And these actually, this, I did not use the Explorer on this. I just used the Cricut Expression, and it actually cut it very well when I did it. I was really surprised, as intricate as it was, that it would do that. But it did a good job. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I know that my little bicycle basket is going to go right about there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive right there. You want to have enough adhesive that everything will stay together, but you don't want it all bleeding through. This would be a good time to use your glass effects or your glossy accents as well. I just like the precision tip on this Tombow Mono for this as well. And then these are the little flowers that cut out. And again, you want to use enough glue that it will stick to each other, but you don't want it sticking to the card because it'll just tear later. So there's our little flowers. And I'm going to go back, because you see I have some extra glue, and I'm just going to rub off some of that glue that I don't want, because I don't want it sticking to my card. Okay. So we're going to pull our card back over, and this is where we're going to decide, or how we're going to decide where to put the glue on the bicycle. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it here, and I know that I'm going to put it around the bottom part of the tires and about the frame. So we're just going to go here, and I'm just going to start putting some glue around the frame, around the kickstand, around the bottom part of the tire. I can go back and add more glue if I need to, but it's not as easy to take glue away. So, and that looks just about right. So we've got our bicycle done there. Now, I may go back later and add some more elements, but for now we're going to call that good. I'm going to close the card. I'm going to press that down so that everything is really well adhered, but not, and then I'm just going to open it up and let it dry, and we're going to move over to our stamping piece. So, for the stamping, I have the frame that I've already cut, and I have my stamp all set up and ready for now. And we're going to set that in the middle, just like so. And then I'm going to grab my black ink and ink up my stamp. It looks like I have a tiny bit of fuzz on there, so let's get that off. Wipe off the excess ink, and I still made a mess. Try that again. So there's a little piece of something on that stamp. I want to get as crisp and clear of an image as I possibly can. And I often forget to wipe off my stamp, and then I end up with ink on my image, so be careful about that. And in the meantime, I hit my... It's not going to be an easy stamping night, is it? Try that again. There we go, that looks pretty good. I'm just going to stamp that right in the middle. It says, "You are the best." Just like that. And then this is the frame that goes around it to tie that coral all in. I'm just going to put just a small amount of glue on that. Now, normally I would use foam tape to adhere this to the card, just to give it that little pop of dimension. Unfortunately, when I went to get my foam tape, I realized that I was out of foam tape. So we are just going to adhere it with normal adhesive, but foam tape would be really cute on this. And then we are ready to put it on the front of our card. Just right in the middle. Now, if I wanted to add a bow to one of these, I could. I've decided I don't really want to do that, but I am going to pull out and see if I have maybe some sequins I could add that might match. Whoops, not those. This is the Coral Reef sequin pack from Close to My Heart that I just purchased, and these are the first times that I've used them. There we go, that's a good match. And let's see. Now I use this one here. I'm not going to put it down and adhere it firmly yet, because I'm not sure I want it to stay there. Right about there. Maybe right about there. Right about there. Yeah, that looks good, just like that. There we have it. You are the best. And then it says thank you on the outside. Now I need an envelope, because I don't know that I have any envelopes that size. So as I showed you earlier, I cut out the envelope that comes with the set, and this is what it looks like all cut out. And I will tell you, it takes almost a full sheet of 12 by 12 paper to cut out an envelope of that size. So just be aware, if you're cutting an envelope, it's going to take quite a lot of paper. And then I'm just going to line them up. I'm not following the grid here. I'm just eyeballing it so that it goes from edge to edge. So there's, and I didn't do that well. Let's see, I didn't get it straight. But I did. Which will make that a little bit challenging when I go to fold it, but I think we'll be okay. And then this one, let's watch it a little bit closer. It's going to be right at the 4-inch. Actually, that's why I drew this line here. That helps me line things up. I just haven't used it in a while. There we go. A line there. And we're going to come here and draw or do a line here. And one last line here. Now these envelopes also come with liners, but I decided, and I actually scored that the way I didn't want it to, because I actually wanted to score it this way. But I decided I did not want to use the liners because I felt like the polka dots were interesting enough, and why waste a piece of paper when we have great polka dots. Alright, so just crease that down. Whoops, crease that down really well. Crease that down really well. Get some good ATG on here. I am going to send this through the mail, so I want to be sure that it adheres very, very well so that it survives. And you can see already the mistake that I made. But with ATG, I'll just go back and rub that off, that extra, just like so. And then my card will be ready to go inside of it once everything's dried. And then I just have to fold this other flap down and adhere it down just like that. So there we have our envelope. Now of course, if you want to add some interest to your envelope, you can always stamp on the front, which I will probably do, but if I do that, you will see it at the next at the end of the video. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, so I've come back and I just want to show you what I did to finish off the card. I grabbed these ice stickles, and this is in lime ice, and I went around just a couple of areas. I went around the thank you down at the bottom, and then I went around the flowers on the basket, and I went around the seat on the bicycle. I just thought that added a fun little element. And then because I needed somewhere to write and the paper's a little bit busy, I took a little piece of Colonial White cardstock and I took some Glacier ink and I just inked around the edges really simple. I didn't even use a sponge. All I did was rub the ink pad around the side, and then that will give me a place to write my message to the recipient, and then I'll have a super fun card. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and come back soon and I'll show you the little mini card that I made instead. So thanks. Have a great day. Bye.